Okay, good morning, everybody. In these strange times, I'm at my house at Topaz at Malanda near North Queensland, and it's my great pleasure to attend this Zoom meeting for the Whitley Awards 2021. So it's basically in to celebrate the publication of this little book here, The Birds of Paradise and Bowerbirds. This had a complex history. It took over 20 years from start to finish. And it all kicked off in 1998 with my good friend, Dr. Ian Burrows, got a contract from Nigel Redman at what was then Piker Press. And they wanted a Birds of Paradise and Bowerbirds book. And basically he asked me to come on board and do it with him because I didn't think he could manage it all on his own. So I did. I got really going, and he made a number of museum visits with Richard Allen, the artist, and I basically did all the species accounts for all the then birds of paradise. And then I was waiting for feedback from Ian about the museum specimens, the descriptions, and all that kind of stuff. But things got very complicated in the early part of the new century, and essentially the project got put on hold. And it got reactivated in about, I suppose, somewhere around about 2010, something like that. And not rather to my surprise, what's now Bloomsbury decided that they wanted to pick it up again. And the editor, Jim Martin, was very enthusiastic about the project. And he sort of persuaded me that, yes, it was worth continuing with, because I didn't just want to abandon all the work I'd done that far. So Ian, sadly, was no longer in the picture. He died very tragically that year, so it was very unfortunate. But anyway, I decided to carry on with it, and Jim Martin was the sort of guiding force there, and it was then turned into Bloomsbury Press. And I'd like to thank Bloomsbury for their support and their patience over the years, because at the time I was actually working on a Lynx edition field guide to the birds of New Guinea. And I said, look, I can't do anything on the birds of paradise until I get this field guide finished, which of course took some time, rather longer than expected. So anyway, to cut a long story short, the field guide was eventually finished and published, and I came back to the Birds of Paradise and Bowerbirds. Meantime, Richard Allen, the artist, was very patiently sort of waiting on all this. He'd done a great number of the plates, and he was sort of waiting for the go ahead. And finally it all came, and he was a star. He actually got busy and finished it off, and I had all these little things I wanted to fine tune, and there's Lewin's Honeyeater chipping in there. Little things I wanted to fine tune and just get some extra drawings done and all sorts of bits and pieces. So he was very, very patient, and I was really pleased with the plates. I also got myself a new editor at Bloomsbury. Jim was promoted upstairs, and Alice Ward took over as the project manager, and she also was very helpful. So I must thank Alice as well for her help. And I got a long list of thank yous, really. I mean, they're mostly in the front of the book, and I've got no intention of reading them all. But I want to thank particularly my family, my wife and my son Rowan, my daughter Kaya. I want to thank them for their patience, because I was closeted for hours on the veranda writing the text for the various species accounts, being visited meantime by spotted catbirds and Victoria's riflebirds, which were a useful distraction, and even got some little extra snippets to go into the book. But I must thank my family for their patience and their assistance with giving me time and space to get it all organised. I want to thank, obviously, the artist, Richard Allen, who I think done a great job with that. I'm greatly indebted to some of the pioneers up in New Guinea, particularly Clifford and Dawn Frith, who they're the world experts on basically birds of paradise and bowerbirds. They spent their entire careers studying these creatures in great depth, and I was hugely indebted to their research and their work. And there's an enormous long list of references at the back of the book, and Frith and Frith appears numerous times and in various iterations. So I'm particularly indebted to them, and it gave me great pleasure to go over and see Cliff and Dawn earlier this year and present with a copy of the book. So without them, none of this could have happened. So I'm very indebted to them. Another one I'm very grateful to is Brian Coates, who did the birds of Papua New Guinea back in the 1990s. And that was sterling work, and one of the great bird books of the last century. And again, it was a real inspiration edition for me, had lots of very useful information in it, and a great source of information for this particular book. And of course, Beeler and Pratt, the Field Guide to the Birds of New Guinea, that also was very useful, as was their updated edition on well, the overall Birds of New Guinea, the new book that came out, which is a sort of monograph on the avifauna of the island. That also is very valuable for distributions and correct attributions and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of people were very helpful over the years. Also, the local guides in New Guinea, there's many of them I worked with over a very long period of time. Samuel Kepiknai down at Kiunga is one that I was with for a very long time, the last 20, 25 years. There's Daniel Wacker in Port Moresby was very useful. There's Leonard Vajecki down in Port Moresby also, and the staff over at Cornwall Lodge, particularly the two Maxes, Max 1 and Max 2, or Max Mal and the other Max. Both of them were very helpful to me. And Joseph Tano, of course, and Joseph Ando, based at Rondon and at Ambua Lodge at various times. So many, many local guides, very helpful to me. I learned a great deal from them. And one of the aims of the book is I wanted to try and make it a bit more readable. I often find with these family monographs, they tend to be very dry, and it's just sort of lists of data and facts and stuff. And I tried to leaven it with some, personal observations and little anecdotes, that sort of stuff. It's probably not strictly according to the template for the series, but I managed to sneak them in wherever possible, and I'm happy to say that Bloomsbury seemed to have gone with it. So that was essentially the project in a nutshell. And I particularly want to thank David Christie, who came on board as the editor, and at my request, because I was dreading getting an editor that knew nothing about the subject. It would be extremely difficult to do that. And David came and helped me, and his expertise was very invaluable in getting everything sorted out and hopefully all making sense and avoiding some crunching errors. So most of these I hope have been picked up. So whatever's left is my responsibility, but I'm very grateful to all of those people. And also the various photographers. In a work of this nature, photography was quite important. Jun Matsui was extremely helpful with lots of his pictures. Brian Coates was very good with his. Don Haddon, Tim Lehman, many other people as well were extremely helpful, sending me shots and getting things sorted out. James Eaton for the stuff over in the Moluccas. So all of those photographers, I am very grateful for their assistance and putting the whole thing together. So I hope it's a good read. It seems to have got some good reviews. It seems to have generated a lot of interest. And I must say, I was very pleased with the production that Bloomsbury did on it. They did a terrific job. I think it looks and feels very nice. I like the cover from Richard particularly, and I was very happy with the way that the plates actually printed, because sometimes printing colour plates can lead to disaster. There have been a number of quite well-known field guides that have suffered from dreadful plates that have turned out much too dark. So I'm very happy to say that Bloomsbury got this one printed and produced very nicely. So that's essentially the story. You've got a king parrot calling in the background there, and there were hornbill friarbirds earlier. So there's a bit of a birdie accompaniment, but I haven't been able to arrange for a Victoria's riflebird to come by as yet, though I have a whole load of bananas sat out ready for them. Anyway, I must also thank the Whitley Awards Committee for picking up the book and making it highly commended. So thank you very much for that. All plaudits gratefully appreciated, especially in these somewhat straitened circumstances. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and all the best for 2021. Let's hope for better times ahead. Thank you very much.